Hey everyone, this is a review of Milwaukee's new M18 D-handle fueled jigsaw. It's model number 2737-21 with a 1 battery kit, -20 bare tool. Milwaukee sent this over for me to review, so we're going to take a closer look at this and see what it can handle. Alright, so here's the jigsaw up close. It is 6.4 pounds. And it's a little bit hefty, but that helps to reduce felt vibration. There's very little vibration with this. It's not zero, but it's comfortable to use for extended periods of time. It's got a 1-inch stroke length with 0 to 3,500 strokes per minute. Now I like a D-handle jigsaw, that's why I chose to review this one. They are coming out with a barrel grip option later in the year, I think in November. And that one will lock on, but this one does not. So this lock is for safety, the lock unlock. It is not a lock the trigger on. So you're always gonna have to pull the trigger. It's a variable speed trigger. That's what I really like about this one. The barrel grip has different speed settings, and then it has an auto start where it starts slow, and when it detects it's got a load on it, it'll speed up. As far as dust collection goes, you've got a attachment right here. There's a 1.5-inch diameter dust extraction adapter, and it just goes right in here in the back of the shoe. And it's okay. It's okay dust collection. I mean, jigsaws don't really pull the dust anywhere. So with this, you got to have the shield around it if you hope to contain anything. And even then, it's only about 1/3 of the sawdust that you create that you actually get in the vacuum when you're using this with a vacuum. Just a note, make sure if you are using the vacuum setting to turn the dust blower off so it's not working against it. So you can turn the dust blower off or turn it back on, and you can see it just covers this vent right here, so instead of the air coming out here, it comes out the front. It is a really good dust blower. It will clear your sight line. You won't have any issues. That and the LED in the front, you can see right here, lights up the cut line really well. Those are both great features. All right, so the orbital mode settings are here, 0, 1, 2, and 3. For some reason, 2 is the only one not labeled. But if you'll watch, so on 0, this is just going to go straight up and down. And on 1, 2, and 3, it's going to take an elliptical motion, which helps clear out sawdust and lets you cut faster when you're cutting wood. So if you watch the bearing right here, you can see how much it moves to see how much the blade is going to be tracing that elliptical path. There's 1, there's 2, and there's 3. The no-mar shoe snaps on and off. You hook it on the front and then pop it on, and it's got its little tabs here that you can just pop it right back off. It holds on very well. I haven't had any issues with it coming off. If you are using this zero clearance insert, a little clear plate, you won't be able to use the no-mar shoe, or this will be useless. Because this is flush with the bottom of the regular shoe, and the no-mar shoe sticks down a little bit farther. This piece is actually fairly sturdy. It's a pretty thick plastic, but I really don't like this front guard. I swear I almost just broke that. I felt the two pieces touch. So I really don't like this front guard because it's flimsy, just like I just demonstrated. So you gotta squeeze a little bit here to get these little tabs out of there. And I just feel like it's a matter of time before this thing breaks. So this is really the only thing I don't like about the execution of this saw. This is really cheap feeling. Beveling the shoe is actually really easy. You've got a toolless lever right here. And then you can see there's a pin with some detents. And you actually just push the shoe forward and turn it. You've got detents at 0, 15, 30, and 45 degrees. You can turn it and lock it into one of those spots. You just pull it back to get it seated in that groove and then close it down. If you want to lock it down in between one of these, it's also very sturdy without having a detent. You just got to leave the shoe forward. So I just put it at a random angle, locked it down. It's not going anywhere. Now, if you do have an issue with this not being at 0 degrees when you're at the 0 degree detent, you can actually pull the little Allen key out of the back here. It's stored really securely. You won't even notice it actually if you're not looking for it. And then right here, you can loosen these and adjust it. But since this is adjusted, I'm not gonna loosen it and mess it up. The blade change mechanism on this is easy to use for the most part, and it's spring loaded, so it'll kick your blade out. So I've had this get stuck a few times where it doesn't kick the blade out, but you can just pull it out. So I'm glad it's toolless. It's fairly easy to use, and if you look at it, it actually rotates everything and then moves it forward a little bit, so you're out of the way of the bearing here. But what I don't like about it is if you don't get this all the way down in, it's spring loaded, so you got to push kind of hard. If you don't push hard enough, you get your blade at a crazy angle, and if you're not paying attention, it actually mostly locks that in. So you just got to make sure that you get this blade all the way in there, or you're definitely going to screw up a cut. So that's just something to pay attention to. You've got to push hard on the blade when you put it in. But it is nice. When you're putting blades in, they're usually cool. When you're taking them out, sometimes they're hot. So that's a really nice feature. Missed it a little bit there on the line. Had no problems with that knot there. And of course, you need to do a plunge cut, right? Alright, you can see on that plunge cut, the blade actually deflected a bit, and I had it perfectly square when I had the front of the shoe lined up. That one's better. So I think it was partly the blade that's deflecting. These two were with the same blade, this was with a different one. So I think it's the blade, not the saw, that's letting it deflect. Alright, let's talk blade deflection. With jigsaws, there's a couple different factors. There's the jigsaw itself, how straight it can hold the blade and support it. There's the blade. If it's a thinner blade, it's more apt to wandering off of a 90-degree cut. And then there's a thicker blade, is a lot stiffer and is more prone to give you closer to 90-degree cuts, but you can't turn it as quickly. So I did a couple different profiles. These are both 3/4 inch material. This is walnut plywood, and this is particle board. With this one, using this thicker blade, I have about a 2 to 3 inch radius curve right here, and my error when I hold it up and kind of measure it is about 1/2 degree off at the worst point. Sometimes when I was being really aggressive with this, I get up to a degree off in 3/4 inch material. Part of that can be my cutting technique too. If I'm twisting the saw instead of kind of steering it while I'm pushing forward, that can add to inaccuracies. So there's a lot of different factors that lead up to this, and I'm willing to admit some of this might be my fault. Now, with this really tight radius curve, it's about a 1 inch radius curve or less. On some spots of this, I had around up to 2.5 degrees of inaccuracy. There's 92.5, you saw it hit 93 in one spot, one of the really tight inflection points. So that's using a blade, the scroll blade here, that's much more prone to wander because it's a thinner blade. And I'm cutting a lot tighter radius curves, but that's the performance I got out of this. Like I said, if you're more practiced with this, you might be able to get a lot better accuracy. But so larger curves, less than a degree of deflection. For tight, really small curves, I was getting about 2.5 to 3 degrees of deflection. Still pretty good, I think, and I think some of that could have been due to me and how I was cutting with it, not necessarily the saw. This has got pretty good battery life. They're claiming 105 feet in laminated particle board, which is pretty much what this white melamine is. I haven't done an exact runtime test, but all of this that I cut here is probably about 15 to 16 linear feet. Some of that's in 2x4s, some of that's in walnut plywood. But for the most part, this is really all I kept track of when I was doing battery life. And it's got 4 bars still after doing about 15 feet. I've done more cutting than this. I just wasn't paying attention to battery life for any of that, unfortunately. All right, price point on this is $300 for the 1 battery kit or $200 bare tool. I think $200 is a good option, especially if you have M18 batteries. I'd skip the kit and just get this. The kit does come with a hard case though, in case you like those. All right, so wrapping up, this thing has tons of power. I think it's a pretty good buy at $200 bare tool. I do just wish it came with an edge guide. So let me know if you have any questions in the comment section below, and once again, don't forget to subscribe.